when I was 9. That was the first time I ever chopped off all of my hair and got it super short, and it was the first time I ever liked my hair or even liked how like I look, I guess. And over time, my hair has also been a gauge for how I'm doing. So the shorter the hair, the better.
I feel like I didn't identify with my hair until I got into college. I can remember from a really young age just not liking my hair and not liking the way it looked and just kind of being upset with the way it was. I feel like I grew up with a lot of friends who had straight hair, um, and I just didn't. My hair was just crazy curly and poofy, um, and so that was kind of hard because I just felt like, not that I didn't belong, but I felt very like out of place. Like my hair was just weird compared to all my other friends' hair. So I wouldn't say until up until I've been in college have I really like identified with my hair and have just been trying to own it and love the fact that it's um, mine and it's like a unique trait of mine that I have, you know, like physical trait where um, I don't know, it's just different.
The first time that I really identified with my hair and realized or had some really strong feelings about it was when I was a second grader and I put in my first relaxer, which is like a really strong chemical that takes all of the curls out. Makes it easier to straighten, which is historically like what a lot of like my grandparents did and like their generation and beyond did to assimilate and into US culture. But I got my relaxer when I was second grader and I absolutely hated it. I thought it was big and poofy and it was kind of straightish. It's not what I wanted and I hated it. But then because I straightened it that one time, I was like, maybe it'll be better the next time. So it happened until I was a junior in high school. And then when I was a junior, like the middle of the year, I was like, hey, I hate this. I'm gonna stop. So I basically cut all of the dead, straightened, chemically damaged part of my hair off and came to college and I let it grow out and now here it is. I'm in love with it and I really identify with my hair now, but the first time I was like, wow, I love it was when I was a freshman in college and I got my hair braided in box braids, which are just like the single braids all over your head. For the first time since like the first grade with totally natural curly hair. And I thought that I was it. I was like, wow, I look great. I couldn't stop talking about it. I was pretty conceited. I was like, look at my braids. I look so good.
I would say that my hair helps me express my like race slash like ethnicity, but then it also like is a bit more um, representative of like my gender identity. But the one that is most important to me is that my hair represents or helps me express my racial and ethnic identity.
The main identity that I express through my hair is my African American heritage. My hair is very special to me because it connects me to the African American community, and that is very, very important to me, especially living in Montana. I love getting it done by my friends, and I love teaching people how to take care of their hair. And I think that this type of hair is so unique to Black folks, and I love it. It creates a sense of togetherness and a potential for community building. And out here in Montana, that's how like I've met a lot of my Black friends. They came up to me, they're like, where did you get your hair done? And I'm like, oh, here, I did this, or here's the person who did that. And that's kind of how like a lot of our friend groups, or my friend groups, were built at least. and it's been like an amazing like community builder for Black students on this like MSU campus, but also for me building strong relationships as well.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, I radically changed my hair by shaving it off Britney Spears style. Just kidding, it was for a fundraiser for my really good friend's cancer foundation that he made before he passed away. So it was a very conscious, like deliberate choice, and I spent months fundraising for it, raised over like $8,000, and made a big deal about hair, especially in the realm of like cancer or like people who don't have a full head of hair, and just like making a statement of like I'm choosing to let go of this piece of my identity, so to like stand in solidarity with others who are fighting much bigger battles than I am, and also raise money. So when I did that, I had so many mixed feelings, and I think it was honestly like quite transformational for me, even like years after the fact. My hair looked like this before I shaved it, very similar, but it was a lot bigger and bushier because of like how damaged it was. And I definitely was someone that used to hide behind my hair. But once I shaved it, I obviously didn't really have that option. I also started wearing hats all the time because it was January when I shaved it, which I never really wore hats to begin with. But I think having to be vulnerable and having to step outside of my comfort zone in terms of my hair, which is like a piece of my body that I connect with a lot, like one of the only pieces of my body that I like love unconditionally. But yeah, I think having to be vulnerable and lose that piece of me really put me in a position in which I had to like explore things or like step out and like not worry about what people think of me, what they think about what I look like. I got a lot of weird stares and questions and all that. But overall, I think like having to watch my hair grow out at like every single stage and every single length and seeing like what kind of person I am with like different length of hair, I think was huge, especially like being in my 20s, with all like the identity crises and stuff. Being able to like try on so many different hairstyles like every 2 months or so was phenomenal. I feel like I got a lot of self-exploration out of the way without even trying. But overall, I think it just kind of like gave me a little bit more of a solid foundation in terms of like my identity with my hair, because I kind of came like full circle, I guess you could say. And I think my self-image with my hair had a lot to do with that, because I shaved it when I was at like a vulnerable time in my life. And then now I'm graduating college with a full head of hair again.
I think I've had two really important dramatic hair changes in my life. The first was my freshman year of college. I shaved part of my head during holiday break, and I think that was because I was just told for my whole life up to that point, I was like, you have to have long hair. It's like pretty girls all have long hair. Don't do anything different to your hair. Don't dye it. Don't change it. And like, heaven forbid you shave it. And I think I was just so sick of being pretty to people. And I was so sick of living to my parents' expectations of that. So that's my first one. The second one of my dramatic hair change was during the summer, like last summer, right after sophomore year, because my sophomore year, without getting too much into it, I has really struggled a lot more with my mental health than I had for a very long time. I took many steps back in a lot of the progress that I made, and I was in a very toxic situation with like housing and friendship. And in like May of last year, I was out of that toxic situation. I had a new roommate, I had a new therapist, and everything was going better, but I still had this like long hair that just like kind of, I guess, reminded me of it. And part of that, this part, the side that I shaved, had grown long enough that I just cut it all off. Both of those times that I have switched my hair, I felt like I was finally becoming myself. I felt that I wasn't trying to fool anyone anymore, and I just got to be me.
Yes, many, many times. I actually bleached it this color last night, kind of on a whim. Most of my hair changes are kind of on a whim when I'm like bored, I guess. Uh, but I just, I mean, the first time I ever radically changed my hair, I was in sixth grade. I'd always had long brown curly hair, and I just chopped it off into a very short pixie cut. And I just loved that like instant confidence boost of like changing up your look and your hair. And so throughout my life, I've had blonde hair before, a different shade. I've had pink hair. I shaved my head twice before. I've had a bob, long hair, short hair, pretty much any style you can think of, um, and red hair. Uh, anyway, I just always like love that instant like boost of like self esteem and self confidence, kind of. Um, just to kind of like try something new and fun and mix up your like same old look.
Have you ever felt like your hairstyle options were limited because of gender norms? No. Actually, I feel like my hair was the only thing that was not supportive of gender norms, and that really helped me. For a very long time, I was convinced that I had to have very long hair. My father and my father's side of the family really drilled this into me, so it was really ingrained that like pretty girls didn't have short hair or dyed hair or shaved hair. They all had long, perfect hair that was well maintained at all times. So I thought for a very long time that I had to have long hair just to be a woman and to exist in this world. And so that's, I think, why it took me so long to cut it all off, is because I was appealing to my family and their gaze. And that's why I never changed it until college. Yep. No, they were not. They told me my hair looked ugly, short, and that I should never cut it short again, but I didn't listen to them, and it their opinions just made me want to mess up my hair even more.
I didn't really drastically change my hair. There was one point in time where I went blonde for a little bit. That was rough, but for the most part, with me changing my hair, I went through kind of a phase, I guess, where I pretty much straightened my hair every single day. Like I flat ironed it or I curled it to make it look like smoother and not as frizzy. Um, and I always felt like my family just didn't really get why I did that, because all like all my friends and my family members compliment me on my hair, and they're so sweet about telling me that my hair looks nice and that it's pretty and curly naturally. So sometimes I'd feel bad for wanting to straighten my hair because I knew that like my family liked when I left my hair natural, but I felt like they didn't understand how unattractive I felt when my hair was natural at that time.
My family, it was actually like my parents, like who chose, or I guess when my parents like got married and had started like planning a family or whatever, my parents had like talked about them wanting to raise my brothers and I more like traditionally. So like having like long hair was a choice that they made for us. Um, so yeah, they were always like very supportive of us having like long, beautiful hair. But with that like cultural aspect, like there's a lot of pressure, I feel like, from my parents specifically, I guess more like my mom, to keep my hair long, because I'm now like the only one out of my siblings who does have long hair. Um, and like growing up, I was always interested in like dyeing hair and like changing my hair color. And my mom was much more supportive of that. And I would say like my dad was very passive about that. So it was always kind of just like a weird situation, like coming home with like a new dye job.
So my family has always been big proponents of hair grows back, and so that was always like the main way for me and my sister to kind of express our individuality. They let us experiment with our hair, whatever we wanted to do. However, I do think that they probably prefer a more feminine hairstyle on me, like probably just my natural like long brown hair, um, which usually that doesn't affect me at all, like what they prefer. But I know when I did first come out, I started growing out my hair uh, really long and natural for a long time, and I think that was probably at least a bit because I wanted them to see, like, hey, I'm still your daughter. I'm not some like crazy hair chopping lesbian, which I am. But yeah, so I guess that's the only like really time that I've been affected by their opinion of my hair.
I would say that I express femininity with my hair by trying to keep it long. I like to have my hair a little bit longer. Um, and I feel like trying to keep it really healthy looking and smelling good like all the time and making sure it kind of like looks silky, I guess, or um, putting some sort of like conditioner in it to make it smell good throughout the day and stuff like that. But for the most part, I would say by keeping my hair long.
I don't think that I express femininity or masculinity strictly through my hair. I personally don't think that many hairstyles within the African American community are very gendered or are attached to femininity or masculinity. But they can be. So when I wear braids, it's not just people who identify femininely that have braids. It's everyone is able to have them. And the same with like a poof, which is what I have in now, or twists, which is what like a lot of little kids have, like that. It can express both femininity and masculinity, which is why I love my hair even more, because I also don't express femininity or masculinity consistently on a day-to-day basis. So having a hairstyle that feels safe and neutral to me allows me to express myself in a way that I feel seen and safe.
Okay, last one. Hopefully my phone doesn't die on me and I don't talk for hours. Um, what I love about my hair is just like how easygoing it is. I literally like just don't do anything to it, which is great. I use like the cheapest conditioner in the whole world. I shower like once a week. Um, but I think what I love the most is that it kind of like visibly expresses that I have like a bouncy personality, and that it's just like I can step out of my house and like look like what other people see as like elegant or like I don't know, like cute, and I'm not trying, which is great. It's also not like, I feel like if I had like straight hair, I don't think I would be the same person. I feel like my hair and I have this like mutual relationship, that, yeah, I feel like we stick together.
I love my hair. I've loved it pretty much every style, haircut, color it's been. I just think it's probably my favorite thing about it is the texture. It's very thick, but also like still fine. So it's pretty soft. But I guess it's hard to say, but I really do like my hair. It's done me well the past 20 years. So.
I would say I love my hair because of its uniqueness and how it's almost chaotic in a ways. I feel like every day it's different, um, and I can do something totally different with it every day if I feel like it. Um, so yeah, I think it's just kind of fun, um, and I think it shows my personality a little bit. Um, I would say, like, to define my hair, it's beautifully chaotic.
So there's so many things that I love about my natural hair. I love that I can do so much with it and I can express myself in different ways day by day, and that is so versatile. And I love that by not straightening it and keeping it natural, it's a way that I can honor my grandparents and those before me who didn't have the ability to have their hair just the way that it grows out of their head. I live in a place in a time where it's safe to do that, so I'm able to break down that barrier and that history of assimilation that a lot of Black folks in the US have felt, as well as keep it for myself and feel comfortable the way that I want to feel comfortable. And the last reason I love it is how it builds community. It just has been a great way to connect with other students on MSU's campus, in a fairly isolating area since there aren't very many Black folks around Bozeman. So it's really nice to be able to connect with people that way, even if it's just for 6 hours every 2 months when you get your hair braided. Like, that's an amazing connection that wouldn't have been built anywhere else. So.
I honestly just like love everything about it, but one of my favorite things, I guess, is like how beautiful and like luscious it is, and yeah. But I guess like the main thing that like I actually do really love about my hair is that it like connects me to like my culture, my race, my ethnicity, in ways that like people normally like wouldn't think or expect. Like I think like the whole like dude with the flow kind of thing is like I feel like it's died out a little bit, but I always like love like telling people that I've had like long hair all of my life, and that like the whole like flow stage was never really like a trend I had hopped on, because it's been my life. But another thing that I love about my hair is that it just like represents like traditional like indigenous like gendered systems, and like kind of like decolonizes, or I guess I should say like indigenizes the like current existing like gender norms that are like a Western construct that like automatically is thought of as the default, because like indigenous boys and men like in most cases like have had long hair, so I'm happy that like that's something that I have chosen to carry on.
What I love about my hair is that I can do whatever I want with it, and it will not matter if it's masculine or feminine or if it looks terrible or if it looks amazing, because it's just hair.